Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something pretty intense, a financial experiment called the $50 a week challenge. And trust me, this is way more than just a simple way to save a few bucks. It's really a top-to-bottom audit of your entire financial life. Now, if you're the kind of person who loves these deep dives that really break down complex ideas, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what we've got coming up. All right, let's get into it.
So let's just start with the big question right out of the gate. Seriously, think about it for a second. Could you, right now, survive for 7 full days on just $50? And we're not talking about your rent or your car payment. Those are fixed. We're talking about all the variable stuff, mostly your food. This question isn't just about being thrifty. It's a real-world test of your creativity, your self-control, and your ability to plan when the pressure is on. It's tough.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. We've got 5 parts. First, we're going to define what a financial survival audit actually is. Then we'll get into the prep work, which is absolutely critical. After that, we'll dig into the nitty-gritty of how you actually get through the week. Then, and this is the important part, we'll look at the real payoff, which, spoiler alert, isn't just about the money. And finally, we'll talk about what happens after the challenge is over.
All right, first up, let's really understand the why behind doing something this extreme. Because this challenge isn't about punishing yourself or seeing how little you can get by on. Nope, it's a very specific, very structured tool that's designed to literally force a change in how you think about and spend money.
You know, the language here is so important. Notice it doesn't say a fun way to save money. It calls it a structured, temporary financial intervention. The purpose here isn't just to have an extra $100 in your pocket at the end of the month. The real goal is a comprehensive behavioral and expenditure reset. You're basically hitting CTRL plus Alt plus Delete on your spending habits to see what's essential and what's just noise.
And that leads to this idea, which is just perfect. This is not a diet. Thinking of it that way is setting yourself up to fail. A diet is about temporary restriction, and you're just counting the minutes until it's over. This is a financial boot camp. It's supposed to be hard. It's designed to break down your old, weak financial muscles so you can build new, stronger, more disciplined ones from the ground up.
And that's when this whole thing transforms into what the source material calls a survival audit. See, when you put that insane constraint of just $50 on yourself, it's no longer about just skipping your morning latte. It forces you to become incredibly resourceful. It demands what they call deep operational planning. You have to think like a military strategist just to plan your groceries. And in that process, a giant, high-powered spotlight gets shined on all those little financial leaks you never even knew you had.
Okay, let's move on, because this next point is maybe the most important one in this whole explainer. Your success or failure in this challenge has almost nothing to do with what you do during the week. It is almost entirely decided before you even start. The prep work is everything.
This quote from one of the sources just says it all, doesn't it? Every single person who has tried one of these extreme challenges says the same thing. You absolutely cannot wing it. Walking into this without a plan isn't just a bad idea, it's a guarantee you're gonna fail. You'll be out of money by Wednesday, frustrated, and you'll end up feeling worse than when you started. It's a recipe for disaster.
So, what does good preparation actually look like? Well, it boils down to these 4 key steps. First, the pantry cleanse. This is huge. You go through your cupboards, your fridge, your freezer, and you take a full inventory. Your meal plan for the week is built around the food you already have, because that $50 is not going to cover things like olive oil, salt, or your favorite spices. Second, you have to plan your free time. What are you going to do on Friday night? If you don't have a plan, you're going to get bored and spend money. So brainstorm free activities. Hit up the library, go for a hike, find a free museum day. Third, you assemble a survival kit. This means brewing your own coffee and putting it in a thermos, packing your own snacks. Why? To shut down those little impulse buys that bleed you dry. And fourth, you have to communicate. Tell your friends, tell your family what you're doing. You need them as a support system, not as accidental saboteurs inviting you out for a pricey drink.
All right, you've done the prep work. The pantry is inventoried, your friends are on notice. Now, it's time for the main event, actually surviving the week. This is the practical, step-by-step blueprint for making $50 last 7 long days.
Okay, this right here is the heart of the strategy. This is not a random list of cheap food. This is a calculated, strategic allocation of your tiny budget. Look at how it's broken down. The biggest chunk for grains and starches. Why? Because things like rice, potatoes, and oatmeal give you the most calories per dollar. They're the foundation that will keep you from feeling hungry all the time. Then look at proteins. Notice what's not on there? Steak? Salmon? Nope. We're talking maximum protein per dollar. That means eggs, dried lentils, canned beans. They're your new best friends. And finally, produce. The focus is on cheap, high-volume workhorses, onions, carrots, and frozen vegetables which are super nutritious and won't go bad. Every single dollar has a mission.
And this is how you turn that strategic grocery list into actual edible meals. The name of the game is high yield. You are not trying to be a Michelin star chef this week. You're a logistics manager. You make a giant pot of red lentil soup or 3-bean chili. That's dinner for tonight and lunch for the next 2 days. You make a big potato and egg hash for breakfast. It's all about simple, repeatable meals that you can make in bulk, built directly from that ultra-efficient grocery list.
So, let's say you did it. You made it through the week. You maybe saved $100, maybe a little more. Great. But now we get to the real reason this whole exercise is so powerful. The true return on this investment has almost nothing to do with the money you saved. It's the massive psychological shift that happens inside your brain.
So look at this comparison. On the left, you have how most of us spend money most of the time. Reactive spending. It's unconscious. It's emotional. It's autopilot. You're tired, so you order takeout. You're bored, so you browse Amazon. You're just reacting to triggers. The $50 challenge completely shatters that. It drags you kicking and screaming over to the right side. Intentional spending. When you only have $50, every single purchase becomes a conscious, deliberate choice. There is no autopilot. You are in the pilot seat and you have to weigh every single decision. You stop reacting and you start deciding.
And being forced to live intentionally like that builds this incredibly powerful psychological trait called self-efficacy. It's a term from psychology, but all it really means is your belief in your own ability to do hard things. It's that quiet, internal confidence that when a challenge comes up, you've got what it takes to handle it. It is your personal sense of confidence.
And this, right here, is the grand prize. This is the ultimate trophy from the challenge. By proving to yourself, not to anyone else, but to yourself, that you can conquer something this difficult, you build a type of confidence that you literally cannot buy. And that newfound self-efficacy? That's the fuel you'll use to tackle your real financial goals, whether it's getting out of debt or saving for a down payment, because now, deep down, you know you can do it.
Okay, we're heading into the home stretch. The boot camp is over, but the mission isn't. Now we have to talk about how you take these lessons and actually integrate them into your normal life. And just as importantly, we need to address a really critical caveat to this whole idea. Okay, so what's the biggest danger after a week of extreme restriction? It's the rebound, the post-challenge binge, where you go out and spend $300 to reward yourself, completely wiping out all your progress. To avoid that trap, you need a transition plan. Here are 3 great strategies. First, give yourself an intentional allowance for fun. Budget a specific, guilt-free amount for fun money. That way you don't feel deprived. Second, try rotating your restrictions. Maybe this month you'll spend freely on restaurants, but you'll keep the clamps on clothes shopping. And third, keep tracking. You don't need to be as obsessive, but maintaining a general awareness of where your money is going is the key to not slipping back into those old, unconscious habits. Now this brings us to something that's really important to talk about. It's easy to sit here and praise this challenge as this amazing tool for self-improvement, but we have to stop and ask a tough question. Is this really for everyone? Is it even appropriate for everyone? And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We have to acknowledge that there's a huge element of privilege in even being able to choose to do this challenge. For someone with a decent job, this is a voluntary choice. It's an exercise. But for millions of people, living on next to nothing isn't a one-week challenge they do for self-discovery. It is their permanent, involuntary survival strategy. They aren't cutting out lattes and impulse buys. They're already past that, just trying to keep the lights on. And it's crucial that we recognize that distinction. So, after all of that, what are the big takeaways? Let's boil it down to 3 things. Number 1, plan meticulously. The ultimate financial hack isn't some secret investment. It's having a good plan. Number 2, base your spending on your values. Use the clarity you gain from the challenge to make sure your money is actually going toward things that make you happy and fulfilled. And number 3, embrace consistency over perfection. It's not about being perfect for 1 week. It's about being consistently better over months and years. Progress, not perfection. And so that brings us to our final thought. I've laid out the entire framework for you, from the prep to the execution to the psychological win. So now I'm going to turn the question over to you. After hearing all this, what's the first financial leak in your own life that you'd want to fix? What's that one small nagging expense you know you could cut if you really put your mind to it?
And that is all the time we have for today.
I really hope this deep dive gave you a new lens through which to view your money and your habits. Thank you so much for watching, and if you got some value out of this, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button to join us for the next one. We'll see you then.